Hi, today I'm going to show you how to make a white rabbit. Take an 11-inch round in white and I've put a little mark here, and this is where I want to attach the nose, and I've put that little mark. It's about 1.5 inches up from the bottom of the balloon. I've prepared a couple of little raisins, so these are just a couple of knots tied in a 260 and then cut off, and I'm going to put those raisins into the neck of that white round and just let them drop through to the bottom, and then inflate this, in fact over-inflate it somewhat. So we've stretched that balloon out, we've got our 2 raisins inside, and now let the air out. You want to let the air out until the balloon is still reasonably egg-shaped, but it's got a nice amount of squeeze to it because we are going to twist some raisins off, so it needs to have some flexibility. So there you go, and then tie high on the neck. So tie a soft knot, so don't pull it tight, and when you get to this point just roll that knot up high on the neck towards the nozzle. Okay. First thing we want to do with these raisins, we want to have a raisin position at the bottom here. So just shake the raisins until they fall to the bottom, and then as close as you can to the middle, grab hold of one, twist, and then take a little scrap of 160, wrap that around and tie that into a knot. Tie those 2 ends together, keeping hold of your raisin all the while you're doing this. But as I always say, try to resist the temptation to put the ends in your mouth. It's one of my pet hates. And once you've tied a knot, tie a second one. Okay. Next, take a 5-inch round. I'm using rose, and I've inflated this and then let some air out. So this is perhaps about 3 fingers or so now. And make sure you've tied low on the neck. And then take your head, and I'm trying to find the little mark that I have made on the balloon. And there it is. I can see it now. And we want to create a raisin at this point. So try and work your second raisin to as close as you can to the point where you made that mark. There you go. And give that a twist. And then take your nose and your pink balloon and wrap that tail around a few times, and then tie a knot in that tail. Okay, and pull it tight to secure that raisin. Okay. And trim off the nozzle. Take a white 5-inch round, about 4 fingers in size or so. I've put 3 inches of air in, that's 1 stroke of the Qualitex hand pump, and we want to split this in half. So we've got our knot tied quite low on the neck, and we just want to put our fingers either side of that neck and split the bubble as close as we can in half. And then take that neck and just wrap it round a couple of times and hold it between your little finger and your ring finger, and that will just keep that in place. And make another one of these. So with your 2 sets of split duplets, just bring them together and twist them round. Okay? And take your rabbit's head and the attachment points that we created and just pull those through into that cluster. Wrap that tail around a few times. Okay, Next, take a 350. I'm using blush, grey works well, and this has got a good long tail. We're not going to be using all of it, so it's not critical. And make sure your balloon is reasonably soft. And take that nozzle and just wrap it into that cluster of 4 at the base of the neck. Okay, and then we just want to wrap this around the nose to make our rabbit's muzzle. Okay, so we're wrapping around like that and just twisting that into the base of the neck. Okay, and you can break this off and tie. Take a 6-inch heart. I've inflated it and then let a lot of air out, and so you can just barely see the lobe starting to form. And again, I've tied low on the neck. And we're going to split this in half in the same way as we did the 5-inch rounds. And just twist round. So we want lobes that are reasonably even in size. And then take your rabbit's head and just slip the muzzle off, and we just want to wrap those 2 around the nose, and that will secure everything in position. And just turn those round so that they're even. Next, take a black 260 and make 2 to 3 finger bubbles. These are going to be the eyeballs. And then just bring that nozzle through and use that to pinch twist. Okay, we can break the rest off. Place the eyeballs on the front of the pink heart and just wrap that round and through the centre, and that will just hold those eyeballs in position. Okay. Next, take a black 160. We're not going to use all of it, and make sure you leave yourself a nice long stretchy bit here of uninflated balloon. And I'm going to make a bubble that's about 8 fingers or so, and then I'm going to trim the rest off, leaving myself a good long tail. And tie this, and then we want to split this in half. Okay, so you've got 2 bubbles, and take your head, and what we want to do is we want to position the eyebrows just here, and then we want to bring that strap, that uninflated bit, underneath the nose. And then here, just tie. And I like to tie these 160s in twice, where they're under quite a lot of tension like this. And then just trim off these ends. And now we can bring this muzzle forward and wedge it underneath the nose. So we just put our hand in there, grab the nose, lift the eyeballs, and just pull that nose out. And bring it up somewhat. Okay. To make the rabbit's ears, take 2 360s in white, and we want to cut off about 3 inches or so off the bottom. So just line them up and cut them at the same point. Take a 5-inch round. I'm using rose. Pink works well, coral works well, so you don't have to use rose if you've not got that available. And just use that chopstick to insert the 5-inch round into the end of the 350. And I will just put 1 stroke of the hand pump there in there. So you can see it comes out quite elongated because of the pressure of the 350. I do want to let a little bit of air out. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's perhaps about 4 fingers. and then tie off this balloon, making sure you don't trap any of the white 350 in the knot, and then trim off the excess. And make another one of those. And use your hand pump to inflate the white 350, and you will see that the pressure from the hand pump just forces that pink balloon to the end. Okay, and we can now let a little bit of air out. We can decide how long we want our rabbit's ears to be. And whoops, I'm probably looking at about there. So I'm going to let a bit more air out, and I'm going to twist it off about here. And just check again that I'm happy with that, and I am. So tie a knot, okay, and make another one of these, and twist off a bubble on each, a bubble of perhaps 3 fingers, and connect them together. Okay. And then just pinch twist these bubbles. And if you've got one where the pink balloon is starting to drop down, just give that a bit of extra shaping, and that will keep it in position. And take your rabbit's head, and with the nozzle just pull that up from the back into those pinch twists, and wrap that round a couple of times to secure the ears in position. Next, take a couple of white 160s with a bit of a tail, and we're going to use this to make the our rabbit's hair. So I'm just going to trim off that nozzle a little bit, tidy that up somewhat, and decide the rabbit's fringe. It's kind of sort of tufty and sticks up, so it's a little bit messy. So just decide what size of bubbles you want to make. So mine's perhaps a hand span there, and just make a few of these. Twist them in, and break off and tie. Just tie a knot in that one, and keep hold of this one, tie that off, and we can reuse this. Just trim off the messy bit, and decide again. So it's just a matter of personal preference how much of a tuft or fringe you want to make here. So it's entirely up to you. This is your design, you're the artist, so you make these artistic judgments. And there we've got our rabbit's head. If you prefer not to have the knotted end showing on your sculpture, then just use a few more balloons and, you know, have the tip end, use the tip end of the 260. For this particular character, it doesn't worry me too much. Some other sculptures, yes, it would. But his fringe is in disarray. This character is in a bit of a rush, and his hair is the last thing on his mind. So I kind of think it suits this particular sculpture, but if it worries you, change it. So take a 260 white, I've got perhaps a 4-finger tail, and make two to 3-finger bubbles. And we're going to pinch twist these. So bring them together, give them a twist, and then use that nozzle just to pinch twist. And I always find at the beginning of the balloon, I find that a much more reliable method of pinch twisting than doing them individually. That's just my personal preference. You may have a different one. And then make a 4-finger bubble, and followed by a second 4-finger bubble. Bring those together, twist them together, and just bring that bit of balloon through. And then twist a slightly smaller bubble, so perhaps about 3 fingers or a finger or so, yeah, a finger or so shorter than the first, and then break this off, but give yourself a good long tail to tie off with. So this is what you've got for the hand, and then just bring that tail through, wrap it through into that join, and bring it through there, and just wrap that around those pinch twists. Okay, and so we've got something that we can connect to the arms, and we've got a little strap here, which means it's going to be easy for our rabbit to hold something. He's got a couple of items to hold, and you know, we can connect very easily using that strap. Take a 5-inch red and put about 3.5 inches of air in. That's 2 strokes of the Qualitex pump. And I'm going to be marriage twisting this, so I want to make sure that that balloon is soft enough. I'm going to let a bit of air out, so it needs to be pretty malleable. And I'm just kind of testing to make sure that when I've tied everything off, I'm going to be able to push that through. Okay, so tie that off. And we've probably ended up with a balloon with about 3 inches of air in or so, about 4 fingers. Take a red 350 with a good long tail of perhaps about 5 fingers or so, and then take the nozzle and place it on the nozzle of that 5-inch round. Push both through to the middle of the base, grab hold of both and twist. Okay? Keep hold and take one of your paws that you've made and use that nice long tail that we left, use that to wrap around that knot and then tie. Could have done with a slightly longer tail, but it's still manageable. Okay, and make another one of these. So take your 2 arms and measure a bubble of about 5 inches or so and twist those together. And then with one side you want to make a bubble that's about a finger or so longer than the arms, and make a 2 to 3 finger pinch twist, followed by a second 2 to 3 finger pinch twist, and then bring this up here and make a bubble to match this one and wrap it into that junction at the neck. So you can break this off and tie, and do the same on the other side. And this is what you've got. To make the feet, make 2 5-finger bubbles. Pull that through and then make a loop. Goes around the back, and again just feed that nozzle through, and then break this off, but again make sure you leave a good long uninflated section. And make another one of these. Take your rabbit's foot, and you'll see that I've tied a couple of knots in the end here, and that's so that we can marriage twist the foot to the leg. So place the knots on top of the nozzle, and with your finger push as deep as you can into that grey balloon. Okay, and we're looking ideally for the marriage twist to be about 5 fingers or so. So give that a good twist, let go, and just push that down, and the friction will hold that in place. And make another one of these, and make a 5-finger bubble in the grey, take the body and wrap the leg into these 2 pinch twists at the hip. Okay, and do the same on the other side. With one of our grey 350s, we want to create the rabbit's tummy. So I want to bring one of those grey 350s across, and I want to make a bubble of about a hand's length or so. And then wrap that into the other side. Okay, and then at the back, bring that balloon across, bring that bubble across. So I want to make a bubble that comes about halfway along that grey bubble, so perhaps about 5 to 6 fingers, followed by a 3-finger pinch twist. And then make another bubble to match this one. I'm at the end of my balloon, so I'm going to let a little bit of air out. And I'm going to just create the size of bubble that I need. And then I'm going to wrap that in to these pinch twists here. Bring your other grey balloon round to the front, and we want to give our rabbit a nice big tummy. So we want to make a bigger loop than the first one, a bigger bubble than the first one. So I think I'm going to make mine about that length, so perhaps about 8 inches or so. But the important thing is that the bubble you make is in proportion to the design you have. So wrap that in place, and then you can break this off and tie. And in fact, I was a little premature in breaking off my first grey balloon, so I'm going to wrap in another one. If you've still got some left, then use that one. And I'm just going to create another balloon, another bubble that goes across the back, just to hide what we're going to do with the tail. So just wrap that in. And then you can break this one off and tie. Take a 5-inch round or the tip of a 350 and just pull the nozzle through here and wrap into the pinch twist here. Then take your 350 yellow. We don't need all of this. In fact, if you've got a scrap, you can use that, and just wrap the nozzle into the neck. And what we want to do is bend this balloon, feed this balloon through here, and we want to create a bit of a rounded chest and tummy. So I'm going to twist this off here and break off and tie. And with this tail, just wrap that yellow tail into that pinch twist there. Okay. To make our rabbit's bow tie, I'm using a 260 in maroon and a 160 in red, and I'm going to feed the red 160 inside the neck of the 260. Okay, so it's not going to go all the way down, it's stopped about there. So at this point, what you need to do is get hold of the end. I can feel the 160 end there. Get hold of that and just get the nozzle of the maroon and pull it up to the nozzle of the 160. Okay, and get hold of both nozzles and then push that down. Okay, and then we can inflate both. So put your pocket pump inside the red and start to inflate. Now there are other ways to do this. You can do this by standing on it, but I don't need the whole balloon inflated, so I can get away with doing it this way. So just tie those off. Okay, and oh, it feels very, very tight, so give it a squeeze and twist off a bubble of about 2 fingers. and then make another bubble that is perhaps about 5 fingers or so. Give it a twist, and I'm going to feed that bubble through, and then make another loop twist to match the first. And there we go. And then we can break this off and tie. And then with that first bubble, just turn that into a pinch twist. Next, we want to attach the body to our rabbit's head. If you're confident, you can do this at a much earlier stage. So at the point where you make the arm, the first arm, you can wrap it into the head and then wrap the second one in, and then do the body construction from then on. I tend to like to keep the head to one side because it's quite a big sculpture, and you know, you've still got quite a bit of work to do after that. So that's one option if you prefer it. The other option is to take a 260 and to wrap that into this cluster at the neck, and to use the 260 to then attach to the body. So you just pull that 260 through the body, pull it tight, and make sure the head's secured, and wrap it around those bubbles, figure 8. And do that with both sets of tails, so you've got a really good secure connection. Okay, so that's our head securely in position there. To make the collar, take a yellow 160. This has got a good long tail because we're not going to be using all of it. And just take that nozzle and wrap it into that cluster of split duplets at the back of the neck. Okay. And then we want to position the yellow 260 so it's coming out of the side. Make a big long loop. We're going to square off this collar somewhat. So just decide how big a collar you want. I'm going to go with that. So sometimes I do the collar in white, sometimes in yellow. Just depends how I'm feeling. And then wrap that in there. And break this off. And then we can just square this collar off by shock twisting either side. And then we just need to add our bow tie. So using that tail, just pull that into the cluster of duplets and just wrap that in at the back. But we've got a couple of elements to add, a couple more things to make, and then our sculpture will be finished. And then take a mocha brown 160 with a good long tail, and I'm going to make two finger bubbles, which I'm then going to pinch twist. Use that tail to wrap through, and then make another 2 finger bubble and pinch twist that. Okay, so you've just got 3 little pinch twists like that, and then just a small 3 to 4 finger bubble, and then break off and tie. And we're going to do the same thing all over again. So start off with 2 to 3 finger bubbles, which we're going to pinch twist, and then make another 2 to 3 finger bubble and pinch twist that. Okay. And then with the balloon that's left, we want to make a handle. So I want the handle to be about that long. And then we can break off the rest and tie. For our umbrella, take a green 160, and I'm going to twist off a bubble that's about a foot long. Okay? And then I'm going to take the pinch twist that I made for the bottom part of the umbrella, and I'm just going to wrap those in there. Okay. And then I'm going to bring this back up to the top and twist the two balloons together. And then I'm going to wrap that nozzle into the handle. And bring this one down and wrap that into the base and break this off. For our rabbit's pocket watch, take a black 160, we don't need very much, and make a bubble that's about 3 fingers, followed by a small 1 to 2 finger bubble. You need to pinch twist, and then we need to make a bubble that is longer, a little bit longer than the first. These are going to be the hands of our clock, and then you can break this off and tie. Take a white 5-inch round and inflate that, and then we're going to marriage twist the fingers into the clock face. So we're doing what as we've done before, and just kind of testing how far we can go with this particular balloon. So that's nice and soft. Take your fingers and take a little scrap of black 160 and then tie a knot in the end. So I've got both tails tied together, so that's quite a nice bulky knot. I can trim off the end, and then I can take that knot, place it on top of the nozzle, squeezing the air from the white balloon up, and push that through into the centre of the base. And twist that round, hold on to those nozzles, and with another bit of scrap 160, just tie that off. Okay, and once you've tied once, tie a second time. Take a gold 160 with a good long tail and make two finger bubbles which you bring together, twist round, and use that bit of nozzle to pinch twist them. Okay, and then take the clock face, and we're going to give that a bit of a squeeze, and take your clock face and just wrap that around the clock face. And we're going to need to wrap that in quite snugly. And then we want to create a watch chain. So just make a 3-finger bubble, 3 to 4 finger bubble, followed by a 2-finger pinch twist and a second 2-finger pinch twist. So we're just going to create the impression of a watch chain by continuing this pattern of bubbles. 4-finger bubble, 2-finger bubble, pinch twist, another 2-finger bubble, pinch twist that. Okay, carry on, really until we feel like it, or until the balloon runs out, whichever is sooner. So there we go. And we can probably go a bit more, another one, another 4-finger bubble, another 2-finger pinch twist, and another 2-finger pinch twist. Okay, we're at the end of the balloon, so we've got a watch chain there. And then what I want to do, I want to use the tail that I've got here, I want to just feed it underneath that gold 160, and I'm just going to wrap that tail into those pinch twists there, so that's kind of keep our hand in position, the long hand in position, and then we want to position this one so that it's at 5 o'clock, so as close as we can. So we've got this long hand, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie that to those tails at the back. And then I can cut those off. So we've got the long hand pointing to 12 and the short hand pointing to 5. So take your umbrella and give it a twist at about this point. Okay, so our rabbit holds the umbrella and he holds it all together. So take your rabbit's right hand and just twist that into his hand. Twist it round. Okay, so he's got hold of that. He's not letting go. He's not going to drop that. Take your pocket watch and just decide whereabouts on the chain you want him to hold it, and you can take that strap that we made, his hand, and I'm just going to position that over this loop here. I'm just going to feed that loop underneath the strap, and that will just secure the pocket watch in position. So we can put him on a base and position him, but essentially there's your sculpture. The white rabbit is finished.